Hello, I am Lisa J. Stocks, and thank you for tuning in for this week's Stock Talk episode. And if you're new here, what we do over here is talk about investing, building wealth, saving, and staying out of debt, all things money related. So let's see, making sure everything seems to be working okay. Okay, I think it just might have started. There's a little bit of a delay. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about retirement, and these are things that we should be thinking about as far as investing and being on track to plan for retirement. But now I'm looking at the other end of it. When will we tap into certain retirement benefits? And so today we're going to be talking about several things: claiming Social Security at age 62, why so many people are rushing to file, the pros and cons and things that you can think about in deciding when you are going to tap into these type of things, and managing your money after you leave the workforce. And I will answer at the end if we have time. I'm going to take a look at some of our poll questions over the last few weeks that I posted and the results, and we'll chat about that. But thank you guys for tuning in so far. Elevated East Boogie, your green thumb. I see you all in the chat. So this is something I've been thinking a little bit about, because I've often joked and said, I wish that I didn't have to pay into Social Security, that it wasn't taken out of my check, that I could keep the money and maybe have to just prove that I am investing and managing it well, and not spending it, but using it for that purpose that it's going to come back to us for when we are in that retirement age or unable to work on disability, whatever the circumstances are. But yeah, it doesn't happen like that. And I've said this because I feel like I would be making more. I would be doing a better job of growing the money than it is by being taken away from me and going into Social Security to come back to me at such a small amount later in life. But that's not the way it goes. We work, we have to pay Social Security. And so now I'm thinking about, when the time comes, when am I going to tap into it? So what I started off the show with this on the screen is the breakdown of the ages and the percentages of getting that Social Security. So like I started off saying at the beginning, we have to be thinking about this. When we're 20 and 30 years old, we have to be thinking about investing and planning for retirement. And now, I'm not a person that, I'm encouraging us all to have a plan and be thinking ahead. So even if you are in your 40s or 50s, not near to 62 or 67, it's not right around the corner. Let's start thinking about these things so that we know what's next for us, and we're planning ahead. Now, some of these things may change. There are hints at the retirement age getting older than what we're seeing here as far as, the full retirement age. But, all we can do is start to make a plan based on what's currently presented and available to us. Thank you, Fast Eddie, and everyone else that has tuned in so far. Thanks for chatting. Make sure to give the live a thumbs up. So have you guys thought about this yet? If you are not to retirement age, when do you plan on tapping in? At 62 is the earliest that you can, but you'll only be getting 70% of your benefits. But if you wait until 67, is it worth it? Is it worth just taking that 70%, applying that, potentially getting started on track with what you want to do with that money, and potentially having it grow more during doing what you're able to achieve in your strategy than it would be waiting those additional years to get a higher payment? So East Boogie is saying his mind is already made up. 62 is the age. Okay, okay. Thank you for sharing. So we're going to be just chatting about it, and I think I'm feeling the same way. And I understand for many people, uh, there's lots. This is not a one size fit all thing. Everyone's circumstances are so different, and some people are dealing with a lot of job stress, obviously a lot of layoffs, and managing workplace politics and all those different type of stresses that you might be going through, and as well as people that are in physically demanding jobs. And when I say physically demanding, that could be anything. That could even be retail. It's very hard having to stand on your feet for hours at a time. So we need to take all these different things into account and realize that we need to get on track to plan and really know what the future looks like. Now, I see Daryl is sharing. I took it before 65. I'm using my Social Security to pay down my debt. Okay, okay. I know you have several different sources of income. So thank you for sharing that. But yeah, it's good to hear that there are all different strategies and ways of going about it. Now, Fast Eddie, he doesn't feel that he's going to tap in until 69 or 70. So he'll be getting more than his 100% benefit, but he must already know that he has in place a way to bridge that gap until that age. So other investments, streams of income to be able to live off of, if not, still working full time or in enough of a capacity to be bringing in income. So we all have a different plan, but these are things that I just like to bring to your attention if you're not already thinking about it or close to these ages. So, what are some reasons that people are claiming early? I think that I'm going to see, I've already seen this in the past already. I think I'm going to see more stories like this where people are kind of being forced into retirement because they're getting laid off repeatedly. And now you're in those early 60s and unable to find your next role. And so they're saying or making the decision to start tapping into Social Security and having to fast track those steps in order to not go back full time to the workplace or into the workplace at all because they're unable to find something in their field of work. I definitely see this as a potential obstacle that I could run into because the first time I got laid off, they had, I think, the age was different. It was like they have, like, when you get laid off, they give you these services and benefits of going into, resume writing and all those different things and go to an agency to work with you just to make sure that your skills are up to date, especially if it's been a while since you've been out there interviewing and things like that. But the age range of when they try to give you those extra benefits, the age is becoming lower and lower. And the frequency on the job turnover is also more significant. Going forward, I definitely will be having my eyes open to what's going on within that 2-year time span, because in my personal situation at the 4 to 5 year time span has been when things have shifted for me. So I need to be more proactive in keeping on top of things. But some reason that people might be tapping into early retirement could be that burnout and stress and just simply tired. And at that age, you've been already put in 30, potentially 40 years of work. So it's totally understandable. Your health could catch up to you. I think in my mother's case, she was about that age, exactly 62. And her health had declined to the point where she was no longer able to work anymore, which was surprising. And it was something that came on rather suddenly, but we have to be ready for this. Family history, thinking about the longevity of other people in your family. And point 3 that I have written down here, but I've already been touching on it pretty significantly, is the job market itself is it's becoming harder and harder to find a job in your field and have that longevity that our maybe parents or grandparents had with being able to work. I know my mom, she worked at one company for, I think she was just shy of 30 years. I also had a significant stretch of time at my first job, but since then it hasn't happened again. And then there is also another element of this fear of Social Security running out, benefits changing and disappearing. And these are all different reasons that we potentially could be seeing these increases to people taking Social Security earlier. Now, some households just simply need the income because of the things that I've touched on, the layoffs and just worrying about everything that's going on. So these are just different things that I just want to bring to your attention and just have these different conversations. So what are you guys thinking about when you will tap in? Were you aware of the timeline with the percentages that I'm sharing here? I've shared this in the past, but I know there's always new people coming in. And so we're going to revisit some things from time to time. Now, let me take a look at the chat. Yes, okay. I was in a toxic workplace. Social Security would have saved me from that toxic workplace. Okay. All right. I watch your, I am a fan of your channel. I've heard your story and I know you were in a very significant issue there with the decrease of your pay over time. They want us to have to work until we croak. Yes. In the hopes that they don't have to pay us. Exactly. So with that thought process, when do you plan on tapping into Social Security? Are you going to tap in at 62 and take that lower percentage of benefit because of just wanting to get it in your hands? Red star. Okay. Prices double every 23 years. Medicaid doubles every 10 years. Taking it at 62 is fine, but will you be able to live on it when you hit 85? Okay. So there's many different things to think about, and everyone is going to make a different decision and have a different opinion when it comes to this, but it's time to start thinking, even if it's not right around the corner for you. It's coming. From both ends, we need to be investing as early as possible, instilling in our young people to do it, and not beating ourselves up if we are already in our late 30s or 40s and haven't really gotten started yet. Don't let that hold you back. Don't be discouraged. We have to start somewhere. Something is better than nothing, so get started now. Hello, Tiff. Thanks for tuning in and chatting. Okay. I do worry if Social Security will be around in the future. I worry what it will look like. I think there will always be something. We've paid into it for our entire lives. So I think that there will always be a new administration. We will always need to vote for, different things. And so they are not going to have us pay into something for decades and then there not be anything for us. But the amount that it's going to be is what I'm concerned about. It could be so insignificant to what the prices are and what that we're facing. And it gets even worse when we're going through hard times like we are right now. Thank you for tuning in, Kevin. Okay, let's see. Thank you for sharing us out. Okay, and let me take a quick station break. Has everyone that's in the live right now given the live a thumbs up? If you are enjoying this conversation, make sure to subscribe to the channel. If not, at least come back again, check it out. I want supporters here, real supporters that are interested in this content. So stay a little bit and let me know your thoughts, chat with us. But for those of you who have already made that decision, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and make sure to be on the lookout for all of my live streams and videos throughout the week. Social Security changes monthly after 62. Every month, Social Security increases like $18. I have a higher than average Social Security payment as I was a high income earner. Okay. Yes, that's something we also need to take into account. I didn't pull any new stats on that, but yeah, it's going to be a wide range of what your Social Security payment could be. Some people's are $1,600 per month. And so we have to be ready for that. If something was to happen suddenly, like your health declining, or, just thinking about putting that with being what you're going to be drawing from your own efforts of building up your investment accounts for retirement. How much are those two things going to add up to on a monthly basis? And then there is that other aspect of the unknown that none of us know, of how long we will be living in that retirement stage. Could it be, into your late 70s, your 80s, even into your 90s? It all depends, and we do not know. So let me see. In Louisiana, teachers pay the TRSL instead of Social Security. So you quit before 30 years, you get 60% of your pension. We also can't touch our retirement unless we retire. Yeah, so there are different jobs that give you, I would say, more potential security and stability. I saw something in the news recently about the U.S. Postal Service is going to be stopping to pay into the pension, and the Postal Service is being used so that there's been such a significant decrease. And a job like that is not something that I would have thought that they would have to have those type of worries, but it seems like no one is safe nowadays. So let me see. Okay, so guys, are you enjoying this topic today? I finally remembered, like you remembered before I asked? Thank you, Daryl. Since women live longer than men on average, should women have to wait 3.5 years extra to collect? I know this is not going to be popular with ladies in the chat. Okay, that's Fast Eddie, guys, in the chat. Yeah, statistically, what you were saying may be accurate, but no, I don't think it is fair, because, it just isn't. And I doubt that they're going to create, it's hard enough coming up with these calculations. I doubt that they'll ever incorporate any gender bias, or if you're going to go into that, what's next? They're going to put in a racial bias. Yeah, I don't know that. I don't see the need to go that far. Let's see. Let me take a look. Okay, so also consider the cost of living where you live. Yes, that's another thing. That's why I said it's not a one-size-fit-all thing, but just something that I want. These are the type of things I want everyone to be thinking about before it's here and we're unprepared. I didn't really start investing until I was 50. I thought it was too late for me, but now that I know more about investing, I have realized it's never too late. Okay, thank you for sharing that, Tiffany. And I'm glad that you didn't let it hold you back and just, throw up your hands and say, oh, well, like it's too late for me now. You can make a lot of strides in building wealth at any age now. obviously, in retrospect, I wish I did better when I was in my 20s. Then I wish I put more focus, but it is what it is. And so, like I said, do when you know better, you do better, and don't let that hold you back from starting, even if you do feel behind. I'm here to encourage you to keep on pushing forward, and thank you for sharing. Fast Eddie, I don't think it would be fair because it's just bringing too much complexity to the process. What am I going to do? Say, what would I say? Like, oh, my daughter, I attest that she's been a vegan for the last 30 years. I think that she should get additional benefits while someone else who's been eating, this, that, and the other should not. I have a trust for my will. I have a trust for my wife, which will be more than Social Security. Yes. Okay. Okay. This topic is very important. Okay. Thank you. All right. Well, guys, thank you guys so much for chiming in and sharing. So let's talk a little bit about that math of waiting and, things that you can think about. And we can see here, earliest possible age. Now, Medicare eligibility begins regardless of Social Security's choice. That's at age 65. Now, right now, hopefully it won't be changing anytime soon. Full retirement age is at 67. And so by waiting until 70, you can get up to a potentially 124% of your benefit. So, things to think about. Do you need the money right now? Are you still working? What is your healthcare costs like? Do you have those other investments that you could be relying on and let your Social Security get to a higher percentage? Do you have debt that you need to pay off? Are you on a mortgage payoff journey or something like that? What would you be doing with these funds if you were to tap in early? Do you have guaranteed income? What amount is it going to be between potentially if you do have pension, your own, investments in addition to the 401k? So all these things are going to be different for everyone who is listening, but it's just a matter of me just throwing it out there, food for thought for us to get our mindset together and make a plan that's right for us. Whether it's deciding on retirement, investing, all different things. Every aspect of our financial journey is going to be different and needs to be tailored to our needs. So I definitely am looking forward to having my time and managing my money and having control over my day. But, this is why I encourage everyone to put in the work early before, we don't want to be in our late 50s or 60s and trying to work multiple jobs and take on those overtime shifts when it's going to be more taxing and more physically demanding on us. So Kevin is in Canada and he's sharing, it takes me take me another 10 years to be able to weigh the pros and cons of delaying Social Security type programs. Today, it sounds like the right idea, but we will see. Yeah, that's the kind of place I'm in right now, where I think when the time comes, I'll want to tap in early at 62 and just take a handle of that money and get it going for myself. But we will see. We will see. I still have time to think about it, but I want to be continuing to evaluating it, keeping up with any changes that might happen to this schedule that we're looking at here, and then move forward from there. Try to determine the break-even point with age 62 versus 67 to 70. Okay. You may want to wait if you live in a high cost of living area. Yes, I live in a more of a high cost of living area. That's why I want to get on track with a mortgage payoff journey is something that I want to focus on now. Okay. Did not test out this layout on the vertical. I think that the chat is going right across where I'm sitting at, right in my face. Okay, but anyways, we talked about mindset. So let me see. I have a bunch of slides here that I did pull. So let's take a look at what I was talking about with major layoffs. So I was sharing in my on IG. Guys, follow me on IG if you're over there. I am trying to get my numbers up over there so I can go live and just build up my presence there if you are a fan of that platform. So I because this is what I look at constantly, I'm always getting those things on my timeline as different companies announce layoffs. And when I see layoffs, they aren't usually small, like 1,000 to 4,000. They're very significant. And so I threw this into Chat GPT and asked for, give me a breakdown of different companies that have announced layoffs in 2026. And these are just a few that I wanted to touch on. And I'm sure we've seen these in the news. And I really want to highlight the over in the notes and reasons column as to how many times we're seeing AI driven efficiency, AI automation, AI offset for their spending, like with Meta here, who's laying off potentially 1,500 employees, up to 20% of their workforce. We see with Oracle, AI data center. So we know what it is. And this is sad for all of these people losing their jobs, but we have to be aware of this. If we're not personally impacted, we have to realize it can trickle down to us. And so we need to be, I'm glad that I have this mindset already, but I want to just put this message out there that we need to be focused on being a investor and not just a consumer, because we see the direction of things of the world when it comes to AI and technology. And so by investing into these companies that are growing and potentially making these strides to become more profitable and put all this backing into AI, we need to look at, if not these individual companies like this, into those index funds, into investments like I personally have. Not that what I invest into is any suggestions for what you should buy, hold, or sell, but investments like SMH that follow those top semiconductor names. I just did a video about that recently. Find the right fit for you, but I encourage you not to just be a consumer, to be an investor and to be on track to build wealth and take advantage of this, because these companies are going to thrive. And if we're just here working and spending and not putting our money to, applying it into places that are going to grow and have us on track to reap the rewards, just like these big companies are, then we're going to be left in the dust. So, guys, let me know your thoughts on what I'm sharing here. Let's see. Some of my friends I serve with in the military have passed. No one knows the future. I will be taking my benefits when I become eligible. Okay. All right. Thank you, the one, for sharing. Okay. All right. Let me take a look. You may want to, yeah, all right. So I think I'm caught up on the chat. If anybody has shared anything that I miss, please feel free to post again. But let's see, what else did I? Dr. Ed Weir. No, I have not heard of that person, Fast Eddie. If you want to leave me a comment after the live, I'll see if I can check them out. Let me see. Which one is which? Is this it? Okay. All right, so let's go back a little bit. So these are some of the average retirements 401k balances by age. And these are all pretty low. With, let's see, we're talking about potentially taking our Social Security at 62. So looking at the 60 to 64 range, and this is just an average. I'm sure, there are some that are significantly higher and significantly lower, but let's round this up to, let's just call it about 250,000. Well, maybe we shouldn't, because these numbers are all pretty close. But you get the point. What I'm trying to share here is we have to think about this, and we have to get in tune with what our Social Security will even be, so that you can know what you are potentially going to have altogether between the different sources of income that you'll be able to draw from in retirement. Now let's go to this. And this is going to tie to the first question when we go to take a look at our questions that I pulled as far as my poll questions. This has been a graphic that I have been looking at for the last few years now, and thinking about what $1 million or $2 million, what it will look like for me in retirement, and thinking about what it currently costs for me to manage my household, and also factoring the things that are going to increase when I'm no longer able to do any lawn care or snow or anything like that, or even cleaning. I have a friend that has some health issues, and I wanted to actually talk to her yesterday. I didn't have the chance to, but you have to, I think that she should have made a better plan. And if she's willing to share with me a little bit more details, I would like to try to help her to see what can be cut in her budget, because I think that it's time for her to have to like potentially have a fixed amount of money set for someone to help with cleaning or washing clothes, definitely with lawn work and snow removal. I saw in the news from maybe back in October last year, I was seeing reports that we were going to have a very harsh winter. They were 100% correct. This year in my area was the worst weather we've had in 10 years. And so from when I heard that in the news going back before winter got here, I already knew it's going to be a very expensive year for me, as far as having to pay for all of those potential snowstorms that they anticipate. And it surely was. So we need to think about what we're investing, and realize, sometimes you hear someone won $1 million, or what really $1 million would look like if you are at a younger age and you come into that money at that age. What you need to do to continue to have it on track to grow, and not be just blowing through it, so that when you are unable to work or no longer want to work, what amount could that be for you to live modestly off of at these type of rates? So think about these larger sums of money, $1 million, 1.5 million. Break it down into a monthly or yearly basis, and think smaller. And like I said, we don't know how long we're going to be around for, but we need to be ready and be prepared. It's your choice if you say, I'm just going to live for today. And then down the road, you live to, 90 years old. But I'm going about the mindset of I want to be prepared, maybe even overly prepared, because I don't know what the future holds. So I don't want to have to downsize to get and greet at Walmart. Yes. Okay. So you're going to be prepared and not surprised. All right. Okay, let me see. Did I catch everybody's comments? Let me see. Nemo, Los Angeles. Thank you for tuning in. The one thing that I hate about this is the average 401k balance by age. It doesn't take into consideration your house, IRAs, CDs, savings, cash, real estate. Yeah. It's just an average. I agree with you. There's a lot of gray area in what you can draw from it, but this is something else that you can use for just some insight and just something to think about, because I think we're a society that we think $1 million is a lot, but break it down into a smaller amount. Think about it over a 20 or 30-year time span, like we're seeing here. And, now it's down to just a few $1,000s. So, okay. So this is an image that I took from Fidelity that I've shared several times before. And it's just something for you to think about. What age range are you in going by this chart? And how much do you currently have when it comes to your investments? Let's not even think about Social Security while looking at this. Just thinking about your current earnings and your age. Are you anywhere in line with what this is showing? 45 years old, 4 times your income. 50 years old, 6 times your income. So I know when I first saw this image, I was at work and Fidelity had come to the corporate campus and was doing on-site meeting. And it was just a few people that had opted to go to the meeting. And the reaction when this came up was harsh. And I really remember. And it had a lot of the older people just in shock and scrambling and wanting to go figure out where their money was and realizing how behind they were. Okay, looked at this. All right. So guys, do you have any other thoughts? Does anyone else want to share what age they think they will be taking, or are you just going to now be putting more thought into at what age you will be taking Social Security? I know a few of you shared that you're settled and you already feel that you are going to definitely go for the earlier age of 62. And others have shared they're going to push out until those later dates. I'm leaning today, which is not the time yet for me. I have plenty of time, but I'm thinking that I will be on the earlier end of the spectrum and want to tap in early, and potentially take that money and see what I can do to continue to grow it. But I may, when the time comes, feel comfortable in what I've built in order to bridge that gap until the true retirement age in the later 60s and be able to manage with my taxable accounts, rental income, or whatever I potentially could have, and feel differently. But we'll see, because things are going to change. This is the current state of what's going on. But I'm going to go on now to take a look at some poll questions that I've put on my community wall over the last few weeks, and I'm going to put together a new batch of them. So this one is based on that first image that I was sharing, and it's asking, what is a commonly cited safe withdrawal rate in retirement? And 69% of the people that replied got it correct. Now, really, this is that image that let me scroll back to it. This is based off of the 4% rule, this graph that we were looking at. So because of inflation and prices have increased so drastically, I have shared this before that they're now saying that we really should be pushing towards the 4.7 or 5% rule in order to get those numbers increased, because that graph and that breakdown was based on data from, leading up into the 80s. So it is dated at this point, but it's something to go by in order to give yourself a little bit of insight on what you should be planning for retirement. But this is for a suggested draw for 30 years of retirement. So a majority of people got it right, but I don't know if if this was clear. And I've told people when I post these questions, sometimes there is some flexibility to always, if you want to debate me, drop something in the comment and let me know your thought process on why you chose the certain answer. But I thought that this one was pretty clear because I put the commonly cited safe withdrawal rate. Okay. So now, another poll question that I put, and this one was very split. So I think that I don't know where the gray area was here, but I put, are brokerage accounts tax advantage? And I meant this to be just a regular brokerage account, not something, like was mentioned earlier in the chat of an account for the teachers, or if you work 401k, 403b, Roth IRA. I did not mean that. I meant just a regular brokerage account. And I got a very split reply here of 48% said that they are, and 52% said no. And the answer here is no, because I meant just a regular brokerage account. Does anyone have any idea what went on with this question? Why so many people took it or misunderstood what I was asking? Okay, next question I pulled for discussion is, are large cap stocks generally less risky than small cap stocks? And 76% said yes, 24% said no. And I put the answer, and I feel that it should be clear that the answer is yes. Those more established companies with diverse revenue streams, strong balance sheets, and cash flow are going to be less risky than those smaller companies. Now, those large companies, they also have to make sure that they are innovating and staying on top of things and being progressive, because we've seen huge companies fall and fail, like Sears, for example. But we have to see that they're having a decline and not keeping up, and hopefully make shifts when it comes to things like that in our portfolio. So, and less risky does not mean no risk. Investing does carry risk, but I've been and gotten to the point where I have my portfolio pretty concise with those ETFs and mutual funds that track, hundreds, thousands, several different companies. I'm not putting all of my eggs in one basket. though I do have individual stocks in my portfolio. They are predominantly names that you've heard of, those Mag 7 names or dividend paying investments that have proven themselves by being, paying, increasing their dividends for a long time consistently. So, when you sell stocks in a brokerage account, as long as you've held longer than 1 year, it is taxed less than ordinary income. Yes. So you think that's what the mix-up could have been, that they thought that that was the tax advantageness that they were trying to tap into with the question? I'm not sure. But that is true, that if you hold for more than a year, it is helpful. All right. And this is another poll question that I posed. And I think it's an important one for the times that we're going through right now. My portfolio, it has definitely woken up recently, but there's talks, but we are still in war times. We are still in a time of uncertainty. So I'm ready for my portfolio to go back down again. I'm ready for the roller coaster ride to continue. So the most dangerous mistake during a market crash is, and I put that the correct answer for my poll question is panic selling, because you're locking in those losses. Now, I have not panic sold anything. If anything, I've been buying more heavily, setting those stop losses, and yes, Nemo, getting out of the market. Are you saying it's not the time to get out? Because I do not think it's the time to get out. If anything, I know it's scary for someone who is not very heavily invested and new to this to get in at this time. But I would actually encourage someone who is feeling behind in their portfolio or just getting started, to not let this turn them off. And I've sat down with several people over the last few weeks and really, said, listen, I might not need to give you this whole spiel and this level of encouragement, but I just want to take a few minutes to just give you, let's go back, let's look at history. I want you to feel comfortable and realize that for every drop, every significant drop when it comes to the stock market, let's take a look at historically what was happening. And then let's look at the recovery afterwards and know that these tough times that we're going through, we need to look at it for what it potentially could be for us 5 years down the road, or even, further out. We can't time the market. Don't get out of the market on the dips. I agree with you. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. So yes, you get it. And that's where I'm at. And, like I said, my portfolio, it's back up, not back up to the levels it was, say 6 months ago. No, not there, but I'm ready for it to pull back again. And I'm going to continue dollar cost averaging, and building out my positions. That's because I'm in the building phase with almost everything across the board. And so not being turned off by what is going on. All right. So those are just a few poll questions. I'm going to load up and put some new ones out. Let me know if you enjoy those, if you think they're fun. But I put out a whole bunch over the last few months. I just chose a few to incorporate into the show because I said that I would start to do that. And just see if anyone had anything to say about the questions on which direction that, if they saw things differently than I did. So let's take a look at the chat. Let's see what's going on here. If we only invest our money we can truly afford to set aside, we will not feel the need to sell during market downturns. Okay. Exactly. Understand what the market has done historically is key to your investment decisions. Yes. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, this is the type of money mindset that um, some people newer to the market may not have, but I hope they are here and um, watching my videos and hopefully feeling how that I try to bring about um, a way of looking at things calmly and rationally and thinking about the big picture so that we are not ever going to put ourselves in a place where we're losing out to the potential of the advantage that we could have right now. So, and I know that we are in terrible times, but um, like I said, those big companies that are having all of these massive layoffs. Um, uh, Trump in negotiations and um, going back and forth. And let's see. One second. Let me see. I was writing, nope. One second. I wrote this post this morning and it said, after 21 hours of talks, the US and Iran left without an agreement. So this is what's going on. 21 hours of talks. The Straits of Hormuz pretty much still closed. Very few ships being able to go through. Gas prices, there's no relief anticipated when it comes to that. Oil prices still high. I paid $3.97, I think, the day before yesterday. Guys, let me know in the chat. Are you paying over $4 or are you just right there, almost there like I am? So this is why there's definitely still uncertainty. I have seen my portfolio come up, some of those Mag 7 names that were in double digit decline in 2026 have, come up a little bit, but I'm ready for them to potentially pull back again. And, Meta came up $100 per share. So, we have to don't sit on the sidelines. If there is something that you're working on, be consistent. At least stick to your schedule. Keep on building. And it's a time when personally I'm focused on if I have the budget for it, I would go harder. I would set some limit orders, but not be rigid with them because we don't want to miss out on these dips. And I know that, there are bigger things to this. We are dealing with war times. We are dealing with some potentially you may know someone who is deployed and all those elements, but at the same time, Baron Trump, he's focusing on his investing. These big companies here on the screen, they're focusing on building shareholder wealth and being on track to increase their revenue. And Trump still made time this weekend to go to the UFC fight. So we need to find the balance that is right for us. And part of what mine is to stay on track with building my portfolio, maximizing my money, and doing what I've been doing since day one of sharing my financial journey here with you is thinking about these things, not letting these things sneak up on me, just like the main topic of today of when am I going to tap into Social Security? Get in touch with them. They don't send out any reports to you like they did years ago. You have to go in, set up an account, and find out what is your Social Security amount even going to look like, because it's different for all of us. It's based on our certain block of top earnings in our personal life. Like a person earlier in the chat pointed out, he knows that his Social Security payment is more substantial than potentially some people around him because he did have those higher earning years. But many of us do not have those six-figure earning years independently. Maybe your household together, but a lot of us are making lower amounts over the years, maybe working several years in those even $30,000, $40,000 job ranges per year. So there's lots to think about, but just keep on putting the work in to think about these things and be on track to have a good handle of your finances and what your future will look like. Time with compound interest will pay off in the long term, especially tax advantage account contributions that should be maxed out annually. Yes. So yeah, and the levels that you can contribute when it comes to your 401k, they're pretty substantial. I think they're 30,000 or so. And then, in addition to that, you still have room to use your Roth IRA, or if you're very limited, you might want to do a mix of both. If you're very limited by your employer plan, you can do it up to the level that you're getting your employer match. And then from there, maybe do your own Roth IRA and then have the flexibility in order to obviously make good quality choices, but potentially choices that can give you growth and longevity outside of what your plan limitations are. It's okay to do more. Okay. All right. So guys, drop your comments. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure to always leave me some comments after the live. Let me know what potential things you might want to see in the future. I appreciate you guys tuning in on Sundays, at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm trying to keep consistent to this time slot so you always know when you can find me here live, but always have that notification bell so you can keep up with any pop-up lives or additional Finance Fridays or things that I do from time to time. And of course, my regular videos and shorts that I drop throughout the week. Yes. Also, solo entrepreneurs can set up solo 401k, Roth IRA, HSA. Okay. I do not have an HSA, but yes, another way that you can build wealth and take advantage of tax advantaged accounts. All right, so let's see. Thank you guys for tuning in. And I will see you guys next week. Make sure to leave me some comments if you watch my videos throughout the week. Check out my referral links if you're interested in opening a new account. I do have accounts for, I do all of my long-term accounts and my daughter's accounts and things like that. I do them through Fidelity, but I do have my own brokerage accounts, tax advantage accounts, trading accounts that I do on platforms like the MooMoo Investing app. I have a link in my description. Check it out. If you're interested in opening a new account, you will get 8.1 APY on your uninvested cash for the first 3 months. And then after that 3 months, the rate does drop down to that more normal range that we're getting on our high yield savings accounts and things like that right now. But you can take advantage of that 8.1 APY during that time frame, and you'll have another place where you can build an account that gives you that flexibility. So many times people have shared with me that they've taken a loan from their 401k, or they've sold their investments too soon. And so I always like to share and encourage. I'm not discouraging people from having a brokerage account if you may need or want to tap into some of your investments before that retirement age. I'm not often taking, when I sell an investment that's underperforming or no longer in line with my goals, I'm just putting that money right back into another investment or ETF that is more in line with what I'm doing. I'm in the building phase. I'm not taking profit from my investments right now, but I'm building, and I know that that will be there for me during those time frames that we're talking about in today's conversation, that I may want to use in order to bridge between those time spans when I'm not quite ready to tap into my um, 401k accounts or tap into taking Social Security. Maybe just because I'm not at the age yet of that 59 and a half or 62 plus age frame. So there are different reasons. And like I said, there's a different fit and goals for everyone. But one of the ways that you can do that is by having one of those taxable brokerage accounts that gives you that flexibility. And another element to the whole financial journey that I've been on, and I hope that you are on. I know my name is Lisa J. Stock, so most of what I talk about here is the stock market and investing, but having emergency savings, having cash on hand, and staying out of debt is a big element that has allowed me to be focused and on track to do to create and accomplish my goals when it comes to investing. Because when I run into an issue, big or small, I'm able to use my credit cards, deal with the issue, go to my high yield savings account, not sell my investments, but go to my cash on hand and then pay off my credit card, not run myself into any interest payments and, lingering debt on my cards. And then from there, potentially sometimes there are times when I have to then bring that back into incorporating building back up my savings. But right now, my savings is in a good place. I'm just focusing on investing for the long term. If anything, my next journey and focus in 2026 and beyond is going to be paying off my mortgage of my primary home. That is a goal that I would love to have for the future. And, but it's just a matter of having everything in place and knowing that I'm ready. And, I know we all know our car is not going to last forever. The car itself, never mind all the different elements to it. You run into different car repairs, needing brakes, needing tires, needing all sorts of things, house repairs, the water heater, a leaky roof, a broken gutter. So have your savings up so that you can be ready to face all of the different things that we know are coming. But follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram, support the channel, and come back every Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and be a part of the conversation. So, does anybody have any final comments, questions, thoughts before we wrap up for today? What is going on with my layout here? See. Okay, so I will see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, give the live a thumbs up. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe, like, hit that notification bell. Hype my videos when you see them throughout the week, and always leave me a comment, even if it's just some yellow heart emojis. I appreciate it, and it'll let me know that you were there. And I will see you next week.